Hey everyone, I'm Cynthia Conte, and I'll be your host for this afternoon's trainer roundtable for Thurman versus Tszyu and Romero versus Cruz. Two-time world champion Keith one-time Thurman takes on the reigning world champion, the Soul Taker himself, Tim Tszyu, as the main event and also PBC's pay-per-view available on Amazon Prime Video inaugural showdown. Serving as the co-main event is the WBA super lightweight world champion Rolando ROLLY Romero, as he takes on the Mexican sensation, Isaac the Pitbull Cruz. This all goes down March 30th, live from the T-Mobile Arena in Viva Las Vegas, and also live on PBC's pay-per-view available on Prime Video. Tickets are still available through AXS.com. This live event is promoted by TGB Promotions and also in association with No Limit Boxing. Today, we are going to discuss, dissect, and debate with some of the most highly regarded world-class trainers in boxing. First up, he's head trainer to world champion Gervonta Tate Davis, also known as Abdul Wahid, owner of Uptown Boxing Center, and also had a character loosely based off of his life, Cuddy, in the highly acclaimed HBO show The Wire, which is one of my favorite shows. And he rocks one of the best bedazzled glasses I've ever seen in the sport. Welcome, Coach Calvin Ford.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And also the next trainer, he is no stranger to our sport. He's trained multiple world champions and world-class fighters, Corey Spinks, Devin Alexander, David Diaz, Adrian Broner, Andre Durrell, Erickson Lubin, just to name a few, and owner of the Camp Cunningham gym. And every time I go on Twitter, he's one outspoken man. Welcome, Coach Kevin Cunningham.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And then our third trainer, he will be joining us. He's just having a little bit of technical difficulty. He's made a family business in boxing, head trainer to two sons, former world champions, Jose Benavidez Jr. and David Benavidez, and also top prospect Diego Pacheco. Welcome, Jose Benavidez Sr. He will be on joining. Hopefully he can get his camera ready. But it is a privilege, gentlemen, for me to get to sit, talk boxing with you, talk some shop, and we're talking about some very interesting fights that have been that are going to be going on March 30th. Let's get to it. Main event: Thurman versus Tszyu. Questions a lot of people are asking, and I really just want to know. Thurman has been out of the ring for 2 years. A lot of people will call it ring rust, but according to Thurman, he says ring rust means he has not been in the gym. He has been in the gym. He's been training for fights that have fallen out, but they were at 147. He's now fighting at 154, but it is a catch weight at 155. Versus Tim Tszyu, who has been active in Australia, been fighting. Tony Harrison, we've seen him devastating knockouts, and he's been active. My question to you, gentlemen, as trainers, and you've seen this as fight fans, is what benefit will it be for Thurman to be going into the ring in a very dangerous fight with a young, hungry fighter versus Tim Tszyu, who's a young, hungry fighter going in with a man who's much more, who's been in the ring, who has experience, and who's looking to get back in the ring into contention. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, it's an interesting matchup, very interesting, because you're looking at a young man in a veteran in Keith Thurman, but he's been inactive. I think he's been out almost 2 years. So, and he's going up against a young, hungry champion in Tim Tszyu. So, Tim Tszyu is strong. He's poised. And he's each fight that I watch, he's getting better and better from a technical standpoint. And I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's going to be a tough fight. But Keith Thurman, if he still has the legs, because he's going to need them, he's got the power. Maybe he can move Tim Tszyu into something, run him into a shot, and hurt him. But for the most part, I think it's going to be a tough fight for Keith Thurman.
Coach Calvin Ford, your thoughts on this?
That's a pretty one. I mean, that time down for 2 years. That's a fact. one thing he do got in his favor, he's going up in a higher weight class. So, you know, him fighting in a lower weight class, 47, and going up to 54, it could benefit him a little bit. Like Cunningham said, if he got his legs, he still got some pop up in him. He's going to be all right. But, you know, listen to the interview. You know, he said to him that not going to knock me out. So, you know, he know that Tim's coming to get him. You know, so it's going to be an interesting fight. Good matchup. You know, Tim, he trying to keep that. He trying to keep that that legacy going. You know, he let them know it's serious business is very good to you.
Now, as trainers, if you guys were training Thurman and Tszyu, how would you train Thurman for this particular fight? Because we know Thurman is an early, fast starter versus Tim, who is a late starter, but gets stronger in the rounds. So do you train them to possibly box, something that they don't? I mean, that's something that they do different in this fight. How would you train both of these fighters for each other? I'm sorry, Calvin.
Well, since Thurman had so long off, obviously working on his conditioning and, you know, putting a lot of bodies in front of him, and working on things that I Tim does that make sure that he knows already Tim is trying to knock him out. You know, so he's looking for that perfect shot. Tim doesn't do anything real exciting. Just wait on punches, you know. So the main thing, I just want to make sure Thurman's in this fight because he's been fighting so long, and you know he know the business. You know he know what he got to do to win the fight. But the thing is that long layoff. He said he's been in the gym, but it's a difference. You got to take that break off, going through like a young fighter that can't crack, you know, and want to prove to the world that he belongs on that level. He's been on that level for a while, you know, so it's like trying to take that off from him.
How about you, Kevin? How would you train Thurman for Tszyu and Tszyu for Thurman?
Well, basically, I would prepare Thurman to use his strengths, which are, like I said before, he's got in the past, he's got good movement, he's got good lateral movement, he's got good legs. So we would definitely use our legs. And Keith Thurman, he boxes relatively well. And the thing about it, he's got good power. So we would definitely box, try to keep Tim Tszyu in the center of the ring. He's going to come forward. Tim Tszyu is definitely going to come forward and be aggressive. So we would try to use his aggression against him and run him into, you know, some shots that I think Keith Thurman has the power to actually hurt Tim Tszyu. So use his aggression against him, box, use your legs, and, you know, try to run him into something or, you know, try to win the fight, boxing smart, stay defensively sound. And that's what I would have Keith Thurman do. As for Tim Tszyu, we're definitely going to use smart aggression, but we're going to apply a whole lot of pressure. He's the stronger of the two guys. Keith Thurman is moving up in weight, so we would definitely try to break him down to the body, apply a lot of smart pressure, and see if he can handle. You know, he's had issues with body shots in the past, so we're definitely going to test and check that body, test that breadbasket, and see if there's some real issues there. And I think Tim Tszyu is going to apply a lot of pressure, and if he can get a stoppage, I think he's going to go for it. And that's the way I would prepare him, to cut the ring off, apply a lot of smart pressure, cut the ring off, and break him down to the body, start in the body and finish up top.
All right. Now, with this, we know that Tim Tszyu was now elevated for WBO full champ. Unfortunately, the belt is not on the line since it is a catch weight, but the WBO just stated last week that whoever wins this fight will be able to fight the mandatory, who is the pound for pound #1, former undisputed Terrence Crawford. You guys can tell me, who would you rather see Terrence Crawford fight as he goes up in weight? Keith Thurman or Tim Tszyu? And if Tim Tszyu loses, he loses the belt, which is, I just wish the belt was on the line for this, but I get it. Who would you rather have Crawford fight in the next fight as his next fight? Go ahead, Cunningham.
Well, that's interesting because I thought there was an announcement that Terrence Crawford was fighting Eubanks. So, I mean, yes, he can fight both guys at the same time, I guess. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, whoever wins, may the best man win. And I think it would be an interesting fight with either guy with Terrence Crawford. So I don't really have a favorite. Like you said, I wish the belt was on the line, and I wish he was fighting my guy, Erickson Lubin, like all the rumors said he would, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, whoever wins the fight, it would be an interesting fight with Terrence Crawford.
I see you chuckling over there, Calvin. Oh, I want to know your thoughts.
I was laughing at Cunningham. He had a good pitch. He should be a salesman. I just want to see that fight is going to be a great fight. If whoever wins that night get a chance to fight Terrence Crawford. You know, like Cunningham said, we don't know who fights, but if that happens, you know, it'd be a good fight. And it's a good opportunity for both of us going into the fight. Like, I'm going to get a chance to go in there with that guy, Terrence Crawford. So it makes the fight even more intense than what it is of going into the fight in terms of you going into the fight. So it's going to be a good card. A good card. You know, like
Okay. Go ahead.
Tszyu want to knock Thurman out. That's all he's talking about. He want to knock Thurman out. Thurman said, you ain't knocking nothing out here, you know. So he had me on the edge of my seat. So I got to be there. I got to be watching that fight.
Well, the co-main event is just as good. That's going to be a barn burner because ROLLY versus Pitbull, they are both looking for a knockout. And, you know, a lot of things that ROLLY won the belt against Ismael Barroso. Many believe that Barroso actually won the fight. That is to be continued. Maybe they can get a rematch if he were to be victorious. But knowing that these two are going to go for the knockout, it's going to be a slugfest. As trainers, I'm going to ask you once again, if you were training either one of them or both of them, would you change their game plan and try to outbox each other? Because I know they're going to be looking to be fighting in a phone booth and maybe fight from the outside this time. Go ahead, Coach Calvin.
Both of them guys, you ain't going to change their style. Pitbull ain't no box. ROLLY don't box. It is what it is. You know, that's why I said it's a great card. Again, I'm a little concerned with ROLLY fighting Pitbull. Pitbull is short. I don't know if they can find the type of guys that got that type of style this Pitbull got, but ROLLY don't have to go for him. You know what I'm saying? And Pitbull don't have to go for ROLLY. So it's just who's going to land the big shot and which round is going to be landed in. I wouldn't even try to change up what Pitbull did. ROLLY, I work on his footwork a little bit, you know, get him to move a little bit before off balance.
Okay. How about you, Coach Cunningham?
Well, like Calvin said, those guys pretty much style-wise, you know, I don't see a lot of versatility there. So you're not going to change too much. But and especially with Pitbull, he's coming, and he's bringing nonstop pressure. He's winging hard shots, and that's just what he is, and that's just what he's going to do. With ROLLY, with respects to ROLLY's got a little more range in terms of length and reach, and he needs to try to use his reach and try to keep Pitbull on the end of his shots, and use his footwork a little bit by controlling distance with his footwork, and use his reach and try to set Pitbull up with big shots and combinations. So that's what I see in this respective matchup.
Calvin, since we both know that they both, ROLLY and Pitbull, have fought Tank Davis, what did you learn about ROLLY, and what did Tank say to you about both of these fights? Or what did you see in the ring when Tank was fighting them both? Some of the things that they did wrong that they need to work on.
Well, with
respectively.
Pitbull, we didn't have both hands. And when I go back and watch that fight over and over, you probably hear me say that I would mind a rematch because I know Tank would have stopped. Again, not changing Pitbull. It is what it is. Tank boxed is good that night. He could have set down on shots that I know that was there. It would have been a different fight. You see some clips that Pitbull was blocking the uppercut. Up shots that was there that he couldn't use on a certain hand, on that hand that was injured and whatnot, that was there. And he seen it, but he couldn't do it, but he boxed through it beautiful. With ROLLY, again, his footwork, he got to, like Cunningham said, he got to be able to keep that range. Can he keep that range and keep Pitbull off? Because Pitbull doing one thing. Come, get on your marks, get set, go. That's it. And he comes. So it's just going to land that big shot who can take a big shot. That's what we want to see that night.
And Coach Kevin, I wanted to ask you about one of the undercard fights it could be the fight of the night, Pondora versus Bohachuk. We all saw Pondora had a devastating knockout. He was knocked out, and for him to take on another dangerous fight, and Bohachuk is no stranger to knockouts. They're looking for the knockout. Kevin, what do you think about this fight? Will his past performance, remember, Calvin just said it, you're just as good as your last performance. Will he be able to get in the ring and be able to get back what he lost that night when he got knocked out? Coach Kevin?
Well, that remains to be seen, especially when you get actually knocked out, not TKO. The refs stopped the fight because of multiple punches. He was knocked out. And he was out and couldn't get back to his feet. So that was a vicious knockout. So some guys are affected different than others when they're knocked out like that. So we basically have to just wait and see how he responds on fight night. As far as his opponent, I haven't seen a lot on him. But I hear he's a pretty good puncher, and it should be a pretty good fight. So as far as Pondora, we just have to wait and see how he responds from being knocked out in his last fight.
All right. Well, those are some questions from me, but we're going to turn it over to the media. Remember, media, please keep it respectful and keep it to this card for March 30th. No other cards, no other fighters. You know what I'm talking about. Please raise your hand, and Kenneth will take it over. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Cynthia. All right, so our first question comes from Cameron Buford. Cameron, go ahead and ask your question to the respective trainer.
Hey, man, this question is for both of you guys. Both of you guys already touched on how would you approach the fight with Thurman and Tim Tszyu. But my question is, Thurman is confident that his training, though he hasn't been in the ring for a couple of years, his training is going to be successful. Do you guys feel that his training, preparing for a fight, is going to give him it gives him the confidence, is giving him the proper preparation for the fight? Is training proper preparation for a fight to compensate for the ring rust or the lack of time actually in the ring?
Let's start with
for either
Coach Calvin. Calvin, you can unmute yourself.
On that note, that's where it starts from, is training. I mean, if we don't train a guy to do certain things and be at his best peak of going into this situation, it's based on it. You'll hear me say that it's based on what you did in camp. what you put in your body, that you get proper rest. You know, them guys can fight for years, they can fight for years, but that training, it plays a big part, because then you know which round where he got the thorn set, which round that he falling apart. Is certain things he's working on. That training is a big part, you know. I just can't tell him to go up off the street and go in there and fight him. You know, so it's a lot of things that he's got to go look for, because the opponent that he's fighting, he's no joke. He's dangerous, he's young. He want to take his legacy from him. He want to be the first one to say, "Man, I stopped." You know, so that training has a lot to do with everything.
Coach Kevin?
Well, yeah, training in the gym is that has a lot to do with preparation, but being inactive and not staying busy, that can affect you also on fight night. Fighters are at their best and sharper when they're active and they're fighting several times a year. So being inactive can play a role on fight night. You can train in the gym, you know, and work on your skill and technique and skill set and your craft. But I think inactivity shows up in most fighters in fights. So that could play a role.
And thank you for that that question, Cameron. We're going to move on. Our next question is from Marcus Hayes. Marcus, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing?
What's going on?
What's happening? It's Marcus from Fight Hub. Good to see both you guys. First off, haven't seen you in a while, Calvin. Kevin, haven't seen you in a while either. When I think of both of you guys, I've interviewed both of you guys. You both are motivators. I get motivated every time I interview and speak to you guys. If I can, you guys are people that can get into the psyche of the fighter. How do you motivate Keith Thurman based on the challenge that is laid out in front of him? A young, hungry challenger, a young, hungry champion who's looking to eliminate him basically from the sport. Calvin, I'll let you go first. What's the tone in camp that you're setting with Keith Thurman to get him prepared for battle?
That young lion trying to knock you out. Can't have that. You got to show that. That's why you keep Thurman. You know, Keith Thurman for years. You know, so again, he's one of them guys. One of them guys' name has been mentioned. So he's up there with the elite. So he got to put on the elite performance. You know, he know what he's going into. He signed the contract. He's fighting at the weight, so he already know everything that he's doing. It's just the thing we need to push him. We need to push him like he never been pushed before, because this is going to say a lot about him, because it's going to make him figure out what he want to do after this fight. He do good on this fight. He still continue doing what he's doing.
And Coach Kevin, how about for you? You've motivated many of guys back in the day and today. How do you motivate Keith Thurman for the challenge ahead?
Well, first of all, the fact that he's on the back end of his career, and I think he fully understands that, and he has an opportunity here to come back and step up and beat a young champion in a different weight class. Even though the title's not on the line, he's still stepping up, moving up in weight, and fighting one of the young up-and-coming stars of the game. So he could make a huge statement and totally revive his career with this win on March 30th. So that should be enough motivation within itself to have him fired up and ready to go. And the fact that he's been off for a while, I'm sure he could use a fight and a payday. So there's several motivating factors that Keith Thurman should be totally motivated for this fight.
And last one for me, guys. The odds as they stood when the fight was announced were 8-1 in Tim Tszyu's favor. What do you guys think about how that plays into the preparation for the fight for Keith Thurman?
Well,
I think that's what it takes, a young fighter, and everybody who watches Tim work, they just put anybody working to put in. So that's why the odds go in his favor and whatnot. Like I said again, like Cunningham said, that Aaron's been around. Got to show the world that he can learn one time. There's a lot on the line, If this is a big career or break your career.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thanks. All right, we'll take our next question from Jay Coates. Jay, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, coaches. This is Jay Hardcore Boxing News. This question is for both of you all. When I look at this fight and I see Keith coming up, he's coming up a weight class. He's 35 years old. He's also been he's going to be an actor for 2 years now. Is this looking more like a showcase fight for Tszyu, or do you all consider it a 50-50 fight? Either one is fine. Who answers?
We'll start with Coach Kevin for this one.
okay. Well, anybody that knows anything about boxing knows that Keith Thurman is nobody's showcase. So I wouldn't see it in that manner. Keith Thurman is a really good fighter. The experienced former world champion. He's an experienced veteran. Like I said, he's got power. He can box. Got good legs, good footwork, boxing IQ. So he's nobody's showcase fight for sure. Tim Tszyu is a young, strong guy, but there's some things he's still trying to figure out, and there could be some opportunities and some flaws that Keith Thurman could expose and pull this thing off. So, answer your question, Keith Thurman is not a showcase fight. I think I don't know if it's a 50-50 fight, but it's a close fight. It's a good matchup. And like I said, it depends on just what Keith Thurman shows up.
And Coach Calvin?
Cunningham says it best, man. Like, Keith Thurman ain't a showcase fight. This is a real fight. And looking at the interviews, and Keith always been professional, and he feel good about it. It's just how he performed that night. I go back and I watch the Charlo brother when he was off for a long time. He had a brilliant night, and you can see that he had a good camp. And he's one of them guys. His name's just mentioned, and for putting him in front of that's a difficult fight. So that night going into that fight, one got to get pressure on going to have this pressure that night. Going with this one, I'm looking forward to it. Again, they don't showcase fights. You want to see it that night. Somebody's career or legacy is on the line.
Facts. Okay. My last question is going to Coach Calvin. Coach Calvin, you've been against Pitbull and also ROLLY. When you look at this fight, who do you get an edge to?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
I say you've been against ROLLY and you also been against Pitbull Cruz. Who would you give an edge to on this fight?
This fight, I can't get the edge to either one of them. Just one bump, hit you on the side. But again, like I said, ROLLY brain and learn some things that can help them. If you want to invade, you got a great chance. But again, it was coming. We don't know it coming. I look at Pitbull last performance. Everybody was like, "Oh, he look good." He started to drop a little bit, He know this fight is on the line. That belt is on the line. So again, you really want to stay with all the hard work that he put up to get where he at. You know, this fight's gonna be crazy. You know, so both of them had crazy nights. You only until they get last performance. Both gonna have a great performance that night. That's what's gonna be based on that night.
Thanks so much for your question, Jay. We're going to take our next question from Lucas Cattell. Lucas, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Okay. My first question is, what do you like? How do you see this fight defining either Thurman or Tszyu's legacies in the history of the sport? How does the outcome of this fight determine any part of their legacy?
Let's start with Coach Kevin.
Well, for Keith Thurman, like I said, he's on the back end of his career. So his legacy, he doesn't want his legacy to end. And I wouldn't think that he would want his legacy to end with a fight like this. And like I said, he could totally revive his career and bounce back in a major way with a win like this. So I think it does a lot for his legacy, especially moving forward, coming off a win, because there's a lot of big fights like they're talking. There could be a potential Crawford fight for Keith Thurman if he wins this fight. So that's what you call a legacy fight. This fight puts him in position to be in a major legacy fight with a Terrence Crawford. So for Tim Tszyu, he's young. He's a new champion. He's young, fresh, strong. So he has to just keep winning. Every fight for him right now helps him move toward potential great legacy like his dad had in the past. So, I mean, the fight's important for both guys.
And Coach Calvin.
I said again, Thurman's got options. He pulled this one off. His day gonna be like bitching, you know. So, I wish the best for both of them, because both of them got something to prove. And like I said, if the winner of this fight may have a chance to fight Terrence Crawford, so that's motivation right there. Thurman said them saying he's not getting knocked out, and you know he always put on a good performance for you know the fans and whatnot. So, but it's gonna be interesting. Tim Tszyu, he's been doing his thing, man. He's been doing his thing. So I'm looking forward that night, see what's going to happen, and see what the tail that he takes going to be.
Thanks so much, Lucas. We're going to move on to next person is Jamil Parker. Jamil, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Coaches, how's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm
Pretty
chilling. Tim Tszyu is looked at as a big puncher. Thurman's looked at as one of the best movers and punchers in boxing. What game plan should you implement in the early rounds of that fight? Should you touch the body, use movement, or kind of like stab him to the body and set up bigger shots going forward?
I would tell Thurman to see, can he really test his power? You know, you already know what he's gonna do. You seen what he's been doing and whatnot. You know, can he really hit? Thurman is a different type of fighter. You know, Tim never seen a Thurman. Thurman never seen Tim, but can he, you know, get hit and really see, can he really hit like that? You know, some guys can hit a person and they like, man, I can take what they bring. You know, same thing with Tim. You know, Thurman a good mover. You know, he's a good boxer and whatnot. So he's still going to do what he's been doing that he's been successful with and whatnot. So, I wouldn't change anything Tim doing, you know, with Thurman. He just know that he got to apply that pressure. I never seen Tim fight a guy that was a mover like Thurman, but Thurman still had the legs to move the way how he used to move at 47. So might be easier at 50, but we'll see.
And Coach Kevin?
Well, if I'm Keith Thurman, I'm looking to run Tim Tszyu into certain shots. He should be setting Tim Tszyu up for certain shots. He should be working on certain things that he can set him up for, because one thing's for sure, he's not going to have to look for Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's going to be in his chest all night. So I would, if I was in camp with him, I would be working on certain shots that we could set him up for. And, we're going to use distance and range. We're going to use movement, lateral movement, but we're going to always be in position to take advantage of openings. So it's not about moving and running around. It's just using your lateral movement to set up offense. And you use your movement, you use your feet. You use your feet to set up offense, and you use your feet for defensive purposes too, but always in a position and always on balance to be in position to take advantage of any offensive opportunities that's there. So if Keith Thurman is sharp and on point, I could see him boxing and being smart. And I think there's going to be opportunities for him to set Tim Tszyu up for some shots, some great shots and great combinations. And I think, the opportunities to be there for him. For Tim Tszyu, he's gonna bring it, and that's what he should do. But he's got to be smart. He's got to use smart aggression. He can't be reckless, because Keith Thurman can punch a little. I shouldn't say a little bit. He can punch. So, and we've seen Tim Tszyu dropped, and we've seen Tim Tszyu get hit a lot. So the opportunities will be there, but for Keith Thurman, but Tim Tszyu's gonna have to tighten his defense up a little bit, but stay aggressive, but be smart. And everybody knows that there's been some body issues with Keith Thurman, and if I'm training Tim Tszyu, we definitely want to see what's going on with Keith Thurman's body.
As far as ROLLY and Isaac Cruz go, the fight's at 140. Isaac Cruz is normally fighting at 35. ROLLY just moved up. Does the weight favor ROLLY? And if so, what game plan should he implement to use that advantage?
Or Coach Calvin?
No, I mean, for that type of style Cruz fight, it's not even going to affect him, because he's just going to do what he's doing. He's going to come to fight. ROLLY, it's good for ROLLY because he ain't got to come down. He's going to be bigger, so like I said, who can endure what they bring in and who land the cleanest shot? That's what's going to be the factor that night.
Coach Kevin?
Yeah, like I said before, I think there's going to be opportunities for ROLLY to catch Cruz coming in, catch him on the end of his punches. And he needs to use his reach and range, and he needs to use his footwork properly. And I think he can have some success if he does that. For Cruz, we all know Cruz is just coming straight at him. He's coming at him. He's winging big shots, and that's just what Pitbull does. So, let's see if that's going to be the recipe to defeat ROLLY, and we'll have to see what game plan ROLLY implements to prevent Pitbull from trying to just steamroll him, because that's exactly what Pitbull is going to do. He's going to be in ROLLY's wheelhouse all night long. So we'll have to see.
Thanks so much for that, Jamil. Our next question is from Adriana Noriega. Adriana, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, everyone. Adriana Noriega, ABN Sports and Fox Deportes. My question is for both coaches. Here in the U.S., we're quite familiar with Keith Thurman since the beginning of his career, with his skills, his abilities, and his accomplishments. With Tim Tszyu, we're familiarizing ourselves more and more in the recent fights. Speaking to Thurman recently, he mentioned that he sees Tszyu's boxing style, he calls it a Mexican style, and compared him to a Triple G that we've seen in the past. My question is, do you guys see some similarities to Triple G, or to what fighter would you say that Tim Tszyu has some similar skills to?
Well,
Oh, Coach Kevin, go ahead.
I can see some similarities with Triple G and Tim Tszyu. They're both pretty strong fighters. Come forward a lot. Both guys, pressure is poised pressure. It's just not reckless pressure. It's poised. And they both use a strong jab to get where they want to go and set up other shots. So I can see a similarity with Triple G and Tim Tszyu, definitely. I never thought about that, but now that you said it, I can see the similarities for sure.
I say the same thing too. I don't know. He don't throw the same shots as Triple G though, but he had that same attitude as Triple G had. The seek and destroy. Triple G, he was patient. Tim, like Cunningham saying, he get hit with shots. You very hardly see Triple G getting hit with shots like he was getting hit with. But as they do similar to him a little bit. I just don't see him throwing them same shots. Triple G got some tricky shots that he throw.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Adriana. And that's going to do it for the media portion. So turning it back to you, Cynthia.
All right. Thank you to the media. Those are great questions. Those are great answers. I can't wait to see these these four gentlemen in the ring. But my final question to both you, Coach Cunningham and Coach Calvin, out of this entire card, which fight, if you can only select one, which fight are you looking forward to most? Coach Calvin?
Ooh, the card is good. The card is good. The card hot. Like you said, I only get one pick.
Yeah.
One pick.
Yeah.
I get one pick. I want my pick be my best pick. I'm gonna go with the guys before. I want to see because again, their career is still moving forward. And that's good. And I always think they say when you fight Javante Tank Davis, still be climbing the ladder. So both of them are in a position to actually still make noise in that way, in that perspective, fight game. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
And how about you, Coach Kevin?
Well, obviously, the fight that I'll be focused on is the main event, Keith Thurman and Tim Tszyu, for obvious reasons, because I thought that my guy, Erickson Lubin, would be in the ring that night against Tim Tszyu. So obviously, that's the fight I focused on the most.
You hear that, promoters? He should have been fighting Erickson Lubin. All right, and now this is the time. I need to go into your crystal ball, and I need you to give me your final predictions for ROLLY versus Pitbull and Thurman versus Tszyu. Coach Kevin Cunningham, please give me your predictions.
Well, for ROLLY and Pitbull, I think Pitbull might edge ROLLY out. Could be a late stoppage. I think he's going to fight with high volume. And if ROLLY is not using distance and range and he doesn't catch him with something that's going to slow him up, I think Pitbull is going to overwhelm ROLLY and he'll win by decision or late stoppage. In the main event, Thurman Tszyu, I think Tszyu is going to be a bit too much youth, too strong, and he's going to apply a lot of pressure And I just think the young, stronger guy, fresher guy will come out on top in that fight.
Okay. And how about you, Coach Calvin Ford? Your predictions, please.
I say the same again, but I don't want to count Thurman out. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know Thurman since the amateurs. Great company guy. You know, he's been a great professional. He's always been professional, you know. And I got him putting on I want to see him put on a great performance that night, you know, but like Cunningham said, age is a factor. He's one of the last of the Mohicans out there and whatnot, but you know, never know. Sometimes a guy can go in there that night and make a difference. And for the ROLLY and Pitbull fight, I'm gonna roll with Pitbull on this one. I'm gonna roll with Pitbull because he ain't gotta do too much with his body. Just go in there and fight that night, you know. ROLLY got to work on a few things to keep Pitbull off. So will he be able to? Did he work on it? Will he be able to do it that night in the fight and whatnot? So
I was gonna say, is it a late stoppage, knockout?
Man, you might get that in the 7th round. You might see that in the 7th round. When
Really?
he's coming, you know. And I know ROLLY. ROLLY, he's like, hold up. He's gonna fight back, so I'm going with Pitbull because that's his style of fight.
Okay, well, thank you, guys. I can't wait to see if your predictions stick. I'm gonna look out for that 7th round. Let's see, Calvin. All right, guys, don't miss this card. It is a stacked card from top to bottom. Keith Thurman takes on Tim Tszyu as the main event, and Romero versus Cruz as the co-main event. From T-Mobile Arena here in Viva Las Vegas, and also on PBC Pay-Per-View, available on Prime Video. The main event is promoted by TGB Promotions in association with No Limit Boxing. Tickets are available now at AXS.com. Pay-Per-View starts at 8 p.m. Eastern at 5 p.m. Pacific. Thank you to our esteemed panel of world-class trainers for your input, for your predictions, and for your time. We appreciate you. Thank you to the media for your questions and for your time. We appreciate you as well. I'm Cynthia Conte. See you guys at the fights. Bye, guys.